I've been receiving lots of requests to do a video on how to play the perfect warm-up set. So let's face it, if you're a new DJ, the chances are you're going to have to start at the bottom, and this means playing the opening slot. So in this video, I'm going to share insights on what music to play, and I'll also share the areas where I feel DJs make the most mistakes. And by the end of this video, not only will you have the tools needed to play the perfect warm-up set for every occasion, but you'll also know what it takes to get asked back, and perhaps next time, right, the promoter may give you a better set time. So let's jump in. So firstly, I think the best way to look at set time is to imagine that you are playing all night. So let's say your night starts at 9 p.m. and you're going to 2 a.m. in the morning, right? So here's the thing. If you come on in the first hour and play all the big songs, not only is the crowd not ready, but then once the crowd's warmed up, you've already played all the best songs, and then you may have no other option but to start playing the big songs the second time around. And this honestly can annoy the crowd. So when playing all night, I would always start by playing songs that create a cool mood and play tracks that have people tapping along, right, but not necessarily like running to the dance floor. Now, in Australia, right, there's a band called Rufus Du Sol, and honestly, I love their sound, and they have some really cool tracks, right, with a kind of indie house feel. But there's no way I could play any of these tracks at peak time, as they are more like, they're kind of a bit more loungy. You know, I actually do yoga to them, right? But it's a really cool vibe. So the opening time slot is the perfect time to play really cool music, but definitely avoid all the big hits. Now, this way, once the crowd's warmed up and they're ready to hit the floor, I can then build the night in sync with the audience, which in turn creates a much better overall experience as the night progresses, as opposed to going like all out from the get-go. Now, there was a time in my life, right, where my clubs, like, they took off big time, and around that time I decided to quit alcohol as it was causing some issues for me personally. So because I quit drinking, I decided to DJ more than I usually did, basically to keep myself occupied. And it was also at that time some of my DJs, right, decided they were unhappy because they were getting less times. So they all kind of went on strike, thinking that it would hurt me in some way. Now, I know that all sounds like teenage drama, right? But I basically learned a lot about DJing at this point in my life. And in truth, this was one of the best times of my life, as it meant I was forced to play all night, every single weekend, right, for about 3 months, from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., right? So 8-hour DJ sets. And because I wasn't drinking, it gave me a really cool distraction, as it was just me, the music, and the crowd. Now, that experience took my skills to another level, not only just technical skills, but mainly reading crowds and making the night develop. And it's like because I was doing the whole night, I could get the night to tell a story and really develop that story. It was beautiful. Now, it also meant I could control the vibe of the room from start to finish and take complete creative control. And people commented how much better the event was, as I could move with the crowd and influence the vibe in the room. Now, I feel when playing all night, I would start with a combination of new material people may not know, right? So coupled with classics that aren't necessarily going to get you to run to a dance floor. So the goal here is to create a really cool mood, but I'm 100% holding back, because if I go too early, then I'm under pressure to hold the dance floor for 8 hours, as opposed to warming them into it, like the crowd, right? So, and then perhaps an hour in, I'd start introducing the odd big song, but I would avoid doing bunches of big tracks together. So I'm more flowing between the odd big track coupled with cool music. So I'm not going hit, 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 hit. Then as the dance floor starts to fill up, there would be a point where I would go all out, like it starts to go, and I just come out with the best songs for that party. Like, I guess that's the peak set and what the headliner does. And then, say if you're doing more underground parties, maybe then you're picking songs like, you know, with good groove and beats, and perhaps songs with the coolest drops. But I guess that depends on genre. So the night develops and it gets better as the night goes on. But when, say you're playing on a lineup with other DJs, which is more likely for you, especially when you're getting started, you have to think of it in this same way. So if you go too early and take the energy up here, then where does the headliner go from there? And yes, like this means you're messing with the flow of the night, right? So when playing early, your job is to actually set up the night and create a cool mood and atmosphere. And if you go too hard too soon, not only are the people just arriving, but you tire the audience out, and it also leaves the headliner nowhere to go. So when playing on lineups, right, it has to be about playing as part of a team. And if you come on and take all the big songs in the first hour and leave the headliners nowhere to go, the chances of you getting repeat shows is like very unlikely. So in short, an opening DJ's job is to warm up the room. And if you're not sure what to play, I would say a good mantra is music that you can tap along to, but not the FPS songs that make you want to run to the dance floor, as that's the headliner's job. And if you can hold back and still play great music and build the atmosphere in the room without stepping into the headliner's turf, and the headliner can come on and take it to the next level, the headliners are going to love you for that, and they're going to opt to work with you again and again and again. Now, I'll be honest, finding good openers is it's difficult. It's harder than you think. And when you do find one, right, trust me, you hold on to them. So personally, I feel your best chances of earning a residency is to be a strong opening DJ. There was one point in my life, right, where I had so much trouble finding opening DJs that I taught my partner how to DJ, and every weekend I'd help her to craft really cool playlists full of great songs, some new and some people I hadn't heard in a while. And this allowed me to turn up to the club at around midnight, right? And every single time she had the dance floor pumping, but because she was holding back and saving the big songs for me, I could come on for headline duties and take it to the next level. And that worked really, really well for a long time. And because of that, the events were huge, mainly because we were a great team. She'd set them up for me, right? And I'd knock them down, and she was happy to do that for me, and I was happy as well. But then one day, I found another DJ came along who also knew how to do that. He knew my clubs, he knew what I liked to play, and whenever he played early, he would always aim to set me up. And because he set me up so good, right, he became a resident. And then when I expanded and started more clubs around Australia, not only did I make him the headliner, but I also put him in charge of booking all the DJs and also made him the event manager of that event. So never underestimate the power of the opening set. It's not just the music you play, it's more about how you set up the night for the headliners. So many times in my life have I been burnt by opening DJs coming on too hard too early. And then when I came on for headline duties, everyone was exhausted, and the night, instead of building to awesome, started too fast and ended too soon. Perhaps in that sense, right, you could compare it to sex. The opening DJ needs to warm up with foreplay. This means start like being sensual, you hold back a little bit. But if you go straight for it, it may be over before your partner is ready to climax, leaving her or your crowd dissatisfied. So instead, take it easy at first and build to it. And when the crowd is ready, then they'll let you know and move with the crowd. Then if you feel the crowd, or for the sake of the metaphor, your partner getting tired, pull it back a little. And then maybe come back, take them all out, like flow a little bit, right? Moving with the crowd, controlling the energy, as opposed to forcing your needs above the needs of your audience, and better yet, the needs of the events. Parties need to evolve, okay? And the opening DJ's job is to get that emotion, but not take it too far. So now that we know, right, how important the warm-up set is, many people ask, well, what tracks do you play early in the night? Now, this can differ big time depending on the type of event. See, what may be considered a headline set at one club could be an opening set at another. So the first step for you is to research the events that you want to play and actually see like who's playing what at what time. Now, for instance, there's a tech/minimal house night in Sydney called Sash, and it's hugely successful. And I remember being there one night, and the music was very minimal tech. And then at about 2 a.m. in the morning, the tempo lifted, and everyone went crazy. Now, here's the thing. If you get an opening set for a club like that, and you lift the tempo at 9 p.m. when that's their headliner's job, the chances are they'll never work with you again, and they may even kick you off. So you need to know what the venue does and even become familiar with what the headliner's playing. And your job is to create a platform for the headliners so they can come on and they can steal the show. Now, I remember once I had to open for a big Australian act. So the first thing I did was research her SoundCloud and check out the latest mix she posted to get an idea of what music she was gravitating around at that time. Now, then on the night, not only did I avoid every single song in her mix, but I played tracks that were good but not as good as what she had planned. Then when she came on, she got to take it to the next level and the event was awesome. So I set it up for the headliner. Now, sure, I get it, right? You want everyone to know how great you are, so why hold back? You think, this is your one chance. You want to come out with a headline set at 9 p.m. to show everyone your God-given talent, how great you are. But if you don't play as a team, you won't be on the team. It's that simple, right? So think of it like this. I heard when Hardwell toured, right, he took Oliver Heldens with him. Now, this is because Future House is chiller than Big Room and Electro House. And even though Future House is fun, right, it's set up the night without exhausting everyone. So, for instance, have you ever been to a festival and all day and all night it's headliner after headliner? And then by the time the last act comes on, the one you were actually waiting on, right, you just sat down because you're too tired. Or I saw Avicii playing, he was the headliner, but Calvin Harris in the afternoon, there was Tiesto, there was all these DJs. And by the time like Avicii came on, everyone was leaving. In short, right, if you want to master an opening set, start by researching the events you wish to play at, or perhaps the venues you've already got gigs lined up at, and then see what the headliners are playing and think, how can you play differently to them, but at the same time, create a perfect platform for them to come on and for them to do what they do best. Your job is to set up the night, not steal the show. Now, that's the music side of this equation, right? But there is one more really important factor that I think the majority of DJs overlook when playing live. And here's the thing. The majority of DJs get their show and they think it's all about the music, when in actual fact, it's actually all about atmosphere. So let's say you get booked for the opening slot and you spend 100% of your effort preparing the perfect playlist for the set time that you're doing, right? You do all this research, you make it all about the music, but let's say you turn out to play and no one turns up to midnight. Now, trust me, if you're there playing to yourself, people are not going to be thinking, how great is this DJ? They're going to feel sorry for you as people arrive, they see no one's on the dance floor and they may leave and come back later, or at best they go to the bar, but you've got no real atmosphere in the room. So my advice, whenever you get a show, sure, put a lot of energy into preparing your music, but I would also promote your show and use your show as an opportunity to connect and bring like-minded people together. So let's face it, if you turn up and you have a few friends there to support you, it can do wonders for your dance floor. Now, I remember once, right, I was playing in Melbourne, Australia, and the venue booked me to headline a side room, but I knew what side rooms are like. They're testing grounds, and they can sometimes be empty as people want to go where the crowd is. And that night, right, they had me headlining the side room, but means I was playing the same time as the headliner in the main room. And the people were actually there to see that main headliner. Now, at this stage, right, I was like, fuck, I didn't have any support in Melbourne, but my partner had some friends she had grown up with that lived there. So we contacted them. And we didn't beg them to come and support. It wasn't like that. We just used my show as an excuse to all get together. Then on the night, I talked to a few randoms and I invited them to come and check out my set. And when I turned up to play, yes, that room was pretty empty, but I had about 8 people there to support me. Now, 8 people and good music is enough to build it. And as people walked past the room, they saw some atmosphere in the room and they came in and they checked it out. And before long, I ended up packing out that room. Now, who do you think the promoters want to work with? The people playing to themselves or the people who can create epic atmosphere? So having people to support you honestly is the equivalent of taking out atmosphere insurance. As the more people there for you when you play, the bigger the atmosphere in the room. And the bigger the atmosphere in the room, the more people take notice. And the more people that take notice, the more opportunities you're going to get. It's that simple. So don't get me wrong, right? Talent is it's a huge ingredient, but it's also important that you create a good first impression. Now, if you are looking for shows, right, and you find venues that do have side rooms, they're probably your best bet for getting a trial. But again, where everyone goes wrong, they get their set and they put 100% of their effort into their music. When really, I would advise every time you get a show, promote the show, invite everyone you know, and use every single show as an opportunity to connect and bring as many like-minded people together as possible. Then if you turn up to a side room and everyone's in the main room, or perhaps you're the first DJ on a big lineup but there's not many people there, well then you have a crowd of your own, and not only does that help create atmosphere in the room, but it also helps the promoter build the event, which in turn increases your chances of getting repeat shows. Now, in truth, I love the industry part of all this, right? As personally, I ran clubs and DJ'd every week for nearly 20 years, and I understand the politics of it more than most. But anyway, the content in this video is merely scratching the surface. If you want to learn more about playing in clubs, you'll want to check out my online course. I've included this whole free bonus club pack section with everything you need to know to play the game and win in the club scene, I assure you. And I see my students breaking into the club scene in a big way every day. And I hope you give me the opportunity to also make that a reality for you. So I'll link in the course below, check that out. But anyway, thanks again. I love making these videos. Thanks for watching. And if you haven't already, please subscribe now to show your support and join the worldwide Club Ready tribe. Thank you very much.